Today's discussion is Parasite. Released in 2019, the South Korean movie went on to be a massive success no one thought possible. While I could begin by praising it, I don't think there's a better way to start the program than by acknowledging Lee Sun-kyun, who, after facing investigations and intense public scrutiny, took his own life just 4 years later in December of 2023. He plays Mr. Park, or Nathan, a rich man who is just about as human as any of us. Parasite would be Sun-kyun's fifth last movie released while he was still alive. Seventh posthumously. He left behind a wife and 2 sons, to which I can only say, I hope peace has been found. To his family coping with his loss, and with his resting. Parasite has come back to theaters in IMAX to celebrate its 5-year anniversary of a wider North American release following its beautiful win of Best Picture at the 2020 Oscars, and you know I could not miss out on this experience. I used to despise this movie, I'll admit that with no shame, but what could stir up these ill-mannered emotions? Was it the ending? Was it the subject matter?
Well, folks, I'm gonna have to keep you guessing. That way you're engaged and you stay throughout the video.
I actually did not watch Parasite until 2022, a whopping 2.5 years after I first heard about it. Time is freaking flying. Like it's been another 2.5 years since I've seen it. But as you can imagine, I don't remember much of it. I remember a poor family. I remember them getting jobs. I remember the basement and a bloody ending. This guy is single-handedly the most annoying person in this movie. I snuck this image just because I knew this was the first thing I wanted to say. Goofs aside though, I think Parasite is a true roller coaster. I mean, look at the poster. This isn't strictly a horror movie, but it sure presents itself as one. And the introduction to the basement plays into that theme so well. What I find most charming about Parasite leads into where I feel slight disappointment. The Kim family. Like I said, I didn't remember much, but at the start, I was so rooting for their family. They are basement dwellers trying to find Wi-Fi like a flip phone needs reception in a horror movie to make that life-saving call. They were humble beginnings. I rooted for Ki-woo when his homie hooked him up with a tutoring job for a rich family. What I was not expecting was for the employ the whole family scheme to be integral to the plot right off the bat. After his first day of tutoring and he leaves the Park home, I cannot stress enough how much I swore he was gonna go home and talk about his day. Nope, literal next scene was him walking back to the Park home with his sister Ki-yeon, and that all gets set up. And while her position wasn't entirely truthful, no one was hurt from her hiring. This is great. Both Kim children were hired. Hooray! Can we keep it wholesome? Things started rubbing me the wrong way when Ki-yeon took off her underwear and planted it beneath the seat so that the hip and young driver would get fired. Couldn't you guys just celebrate the family having 2 sources of income coming from zero? Is that too much to ask? And can we talk about where the money goes? And I'm talking about everyone. What is everyone doing with their income outside of the Park family? And that's including the old maid, Moon-gwang. Is that not important enough to discuss? I swear it's a nod to the poor stay poor since no one's freaking lives ever change. It's an impressive feat of writing that each family member hired is accomplished through even more bad faith than the previous one. The manipulation was Shakespearean. The previous maid that had worked there for 4 years fired? The one who was with the freaking... Mrs. Park, what are you thinking? Like Ki-tae sprayed hot sauce on a napkin to fake blood. The Kim family manifested evil very quickly. You cannot play with that survivor mentality. They refused to fall back to slum life. It was hard to root for them by this point, and as I said earlier, Parasite is a true roller coaster because the story does a great job of making you forgive all the bad just for a moment. Letting bygones be bygones, the Park family goes camping, leaving the Kims to rejoice in a rich home. Just like how the movie started, they are all together once again as a family. Seeing them happy reeled me back to how I wanted to root for their rags to riches story. I was falling for it and expected the ring at the door to be a quick exchange. Yet it gave us a tonal shift from hijinks to horror that felt like a freaking rug pull. Let's take a small break from all that jibber jabber to discuss my feelings towards Parasite. I kind of dropped a hint already, but my animosity stemmed from Parasite winning Best Picture at the Oscars. It also won Best Director, Original Screenplay, and International Film from the same ceremony, and won the Palme d'Or in Cannes, which is the most coveted thing you can win from that. I'm getting sick of all these videos that are making me look up pronunciations. That goes to show that it had other achievements under its belt, but the Best Picture one is what haunted me at the time. I didn't properly follow the awards season until 2022, but I was interested in what was going down at the time in 2020. And to learn why, you're gonna have to wait until the end, man. I'm so sorry. Who amongst us did not laugh during this scene? Look at how she rolls, and if you need some more convincing this is humorous, I'll play it back with audio. And if you're still doubting it, let me just play you the sound without picture. Yeah, I didn't hear anyone else chuckle besides me, so I'm the crazy one. The theme of class really starts to shine from here on out, with both poor families at each other's neck, threatening to expose the other to the rich mommy and daddy. I'm not even gonna talk about this idiots. Another bump in our great adventure leads both the Kim family and the viewer back to humility, where on one side, the rich are safe in their home getting drunk during a storm, and the poor salvaging their personal effects and scooping water from their home. What's up with loan sharks in South Korea? Who are these rich-ass goons? Why does everyone belong in Squid Game? A character shift I wasn't a big fan of was the son Ki-woo, who became this staring into the distance zombie. In times of trouble, he just fell to a big rock, becoming his precious. I don't like the party scene. I don't like the direction of the climax what's the saying? Whatsoever. And you know what? I think I will talk about this dirty boy again. He was so normal when the camera first lays lens on him. He was hungry and grateful to see his wife. And then upstairs, he's popping a bone over the video recording, acting as missile launch codes. Then when shoved back in the basement, he goes full Cujo. Yo, I'm throwing everything down the drain. The fact that he'd been there for ages and ages, the fact his wife is dying, and the fact that he almost had freedom. I can't see it as a valid reason to go rabid, because our first impression of him was that he was sane, and minimal time progresses in the plot by this point. Be introduced as crazy so that crazy is acceptable for such a short amount of time on screen. One could argue that everything he's been through is what's making him crazy, and it's even proof that he was kicking his feet over the video recording, but dude, let me fucking complain. So when he clobbers Ki-woo's skull twice, unacceptable. Killing someone's daughter, really? I get your wife is dead, but it was an accident. Even Papa Kim checked her freaking breathing and expressed gratitude that she was still alive. Worshipping Mr. Park like crazy. Get kebabbed. I'm not a fan of the climax because the first and probably most innocently employed of them all character, in his golem state, is fixated on murder. Granted, this would resolve his family's problem, but for both parties, killing is not the answer. I said the theme of class really shines after the basement is discovered. Up until this point, the worst thing the Kim family has done is seek employment through bad faith. Finally, Mr. Kim, through witnessing on multiple occasions that he doesn't smell good, cracks. Nothing I find more disappointing than the fall of man. It could make for an amazing story though. I purposely stated that the climax isn't for me because even though you could call it the end, there's a little bit of runtime left, and that's where a fine bubble of hope appears. Narration, chef's kiss. While we don't know how Ki-woo and his mother lived the rest of their days following the party, or whether Ki-woo ever communicated with 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘼𝑺 ever again, the story reels itself back into what charmed me in the beginning. It's not a happy ending by any means. No. But a hopeful one. One where a son dreams of reuniting what remains of his family. No matter what setting, no matter what happened between anybody, the Kims always shined when they were all together and had each other's backs. Did I just call Parasite a family film? Woo! I usually think of my titles before I even write, but for this one, the title didn't hit me up until the second last line. It's not the best title in the world, but I don't give a rat's booty hole. The more time I spent in thought with this movie, the more I enjoyed it. The whole family thing was not even a concept when I started, nor was it even actualized at the halfway point. Like it just hit me. And Parasite has such a good score. I'm a broken record when it comes to shouting these out, but I started my opening words and my ending with the track Opening. And this following song is a true, genuine recommendation. Soju One Glass, banger, so freaking good. Go freaking listen to it. It actually has lyrics too, so don't expect it's gonna be some instrumental. The composer did the music for Squid Game as well. That's amazing. What else? What else? Technically speaking, I love the shots in this movie. A lot of them are still, where you get to see a lot that's going on without it having to cut or move, and a lot of them are tracking, where they just follow the character in one take. There's a lot more to this movie, like how actual lines were used to show when a line was crossed. It's a concept Mr. Park talked about, and I actually did end up noticing 2 of them myself and wondered if they had any significance to what was being shown. There's a ton of analysis on Parasite, including the high status speak versus casual language used, and of course, the theme of economics. My last yap to end them all, the conclusion to my story. The other Best Picture nominees alongside Parasite in 2020 included Ford vs. Ferrari, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Joker. This was a super strong list of contenders. I mean, it doesn't happen every year, but there was heavy artillery going up against Parasite. So when I heard it won, it didn't sit right with me at all. I was mad. It felt off, and I felt like it was given a win based off diversity. No joke, it was my initial reaction. It wasn't the last time a Best Picture win disappointed me, and with the upcoming Oscars, I'm sure it's gonna happen again. But that's it for me, folks. Love what you like, protect your energy, subscribe if you sit through more movie discussions. They're my bread and butter, and I whip them up like nothing. Bong Joon-ho's next movie, Mickey 17, comes out next month, so stay tuned for that. And 𝙈𝙬𝘾𝙄𝘾, glad you were able to witness cinematic history and be a part of it. You are forever. Rest in peace.